Hey y'all, welcome to or welcome back to our very bookish channel. And if you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I am so excited to have you here in the new year, and I hope you will continue watching. And if you're not new here and you've been here before, then thank you for your continued support. All of our viewers that have supported us over the past couple of years means so much to me and Jen. We do this for fun, and it's a great community that we're building, and we just love you all so much. In this video, we're going to discuss a lot of things. Did we meet our 2025 goals? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. We're going to give you some of our stats and also what our plans are for the new year.
Hey guys, and Happy New Year. This video today is going to be going over a lot. We are recapping 2025, talking about some of our top books, some of the stats that we accomplished this past year, and we're also going to be talking about top 5 most anticipated 2026 books, as well as some reading goals. I'm going to jump on in and get this started since there's a lot of content happening in this video. I feel like I had a pretty decent 2025 in terms of reading, and it's not just the number of books that I read, because I did have a lot of short stories in there, so the number sounds big, but I don't feel like it's as big as it sounds. I read a total of 117 books, but like I said, a lot of those were like novellas and short stories included in there. So it may be actually like around 100. And I'm more focused on the quality of books and if I enjoyed reading the books that I read this year. And to be honest, I had a lot of 4 and 5 star reads. I think it might be more than any other year that I have read. That I didn't look at the actual numbers to compare against like 2024, 2023. It just felt like I had a lot more books that I really loved this past year. Of the 117 books, I had 17 5-star books, which sounds like a lot in there. I felt like there were so many books that I absolutely just enjoyed reading and had such a great feeling after, and books that just have stuck with me and I still think about to this day. And that's the kind of thing I think as readers we all are on the hunt for, are those books that make us think differently and have great emotions after reading them, and you just keep thinking about them afterwards. Those are the kinds of books that you absolutely want to find when you're reading. On the opposite end, I didn't have any 1-star books, thank God, but I did have 4 2-star books. But I don't think they were too horrible, so I wasn't that upset about them, and it didn't put me in any kind of slump, thank God. I did have 7 DNF books, and the 7 are not included in that number, and some of them I didn't even go on Goodreads and try putting that I'm reading it. I had started it, didn't really like it, didn't even say anything on Goodreads, and ended up putting it down. And that number might even be more because I did that a few times this year where I started a book and I've learned to wait before I put it on Goodreads to say I'm reading it. And I end up like thinking like, no, not hitting me, because I am such a mood reader. And I ended up just putting it down and thought, not at this time at least. And I have to show you guys. So my friend Alex from work, she did this the year before, and it's back there, that little ornament hanging, but she did it again for 2025, and she looked at my Goodreads and she made a little book of every single book that I read this year, which I love this gift. It's so personal and also just a great craft. I always want to do this, but I don't have a color printer. There's the Sophie Cousins one. But I love this so much and I have to put this up, but thank you, Alex. I love this gift so much. Usually I count up the number of books that I had read for the first time with authors, but I didn't do that this year. It seems like it's usually about half of the books are authors I had never read before. I always look for new authors constantly, but there are definitely authors that I have as automatic reads that no matter what they put out, I would read. Frida McFadden is definitely one of those. Sophie Cousins is another. Sherry LaPena is another. I have a lot of automatic authors, so I'm not going to list all of them, but I know I probably had about half of my list as new first-time authors that I haven't read before and found some new favorites. One example of a book that first time I read by the author is Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. That is a 5-star book for me, and I definitely will return back to anything that she writes because it was such a heartwarming, well-written book and very different than a lot of the books that I read based on the characters in the book, since you're seeing a viewpoint from an octopus for part of it. And when you hear that, you don't necessarily think like, oh, I want to read that. A lot of people had been talking about it and recommending it to me. And when you actually read it, you see just what a different type of book and perspective it is. And it was so heartwarming. I love that book, but it's just one example of a new author I tried this year. So I'm always up for trying a new author.
When I look back on 2025 and I think about the books that I've read, I really don't feel great about it, if I'm being completely honest. I read 102 books, so my total books read was 102, which is the same as what I read last year, but I just had a very crazy year. 2025 was very crazy for me. There were a lot of things distracting me from my reading. I had a reading slump, and although I read 102 books, I only had 6 5-star reads, and this year I really want to change that. I want more 5-star reads. It just seems like the more that I read, and I know what my tastes are, I can pick a lot of books that I'm gonna like, but not a lot of books just really wow me and give me that 5-star feeling anymore. You know, when I think of like prolific 5-star reads, like I think back to honestly Fourth Wing, and some of y'all may laugh at me for that or disagree, but when I read that book, it was so different. It was so intriguing. The characters were so likable. I got so immersed in the world. I loved the dragons. I really didn't have anything negative to say about it. It was just a perfect book for me at that time. And I just want that feeling again. And I also, you know, y'all know that I really like Jay Kristoff and the Empire of the Vampire trilogy. And that trilogy just gives me 5-star feelings. I love the world. I love the characters. I love the plots that Jay Kristoff writes. I love the dynamics between all the characters, and there's just not been many books that I've read this past year that have done that for me. And even some of the 5-star books, like I've rated books 5 stars, they still don't really hold up to that level. That's sort of like the infamous 6-star level for me, some of those books, and I really want to find more of those in 2026. So hopefully in 2026 that will happen. I did, speaking of not having too many 5-star reads, I did have to DNF 18 books. And that's a lot. And I did say in the beginning of 2025, I wanted to get better at DNFing. So I have done that. I feel comfortable DNFing books. I feel good about the decision to let them go. And evidently I did that. A lot of that could have also been my book slump. So 2 of the books that I DNF'd, I did do 1 stars. And I know there's a big controversy between, do you rate books that you DNF? Like, is it fair to rate it if you didn't read it? And I have mixed emotions about that. I feel like it depends on the reason you DNF the book. If I DNF a book because it's good, but it's just not what I'm feeling at the time, I don't give it a rating. I just put it on my DNF shelf. But if I DNF a book for just really bad writing or really bad character development, or something was like seriously wrong with the world that was built or something like that, then I feel like you're allowed to give it a 1 star. I will say though, that one really positive thing for me in 2025 is I read 55 authors I'd never read before. And a lot of that has to do with the arcs. Jen and I are fairly aggressive with going after arcs and reading them. And for several reasons, but I enjoy reading ARCs. I enjoy doing reviews for y'all and letting you know about like good books coming out. So I think a lot of that has to do with we get ARCs and they happen to be authors that we haven't read before. I also think that there are a lot of new authors coming out, emerging on the markets. There's a lot of authors like outside of the United States putting out content, and maybe those are new authors to us inside the United States that, you know, maybe they're really well known somewhere else in the world. But I think that a lot of it has to do with that, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that I am always looking for some new authors. I always want to find, you know, my next favorite author, because I have my classics, and you know, there's just everyone has their like auto buy authors, and I just need to find more of those because I really want to dig for more of these 5-star reads. I really want more 5-star reads in 2026. So looking for more new to me authors, and I'm really proud of myself for like half of my books have been new to me authors, so more than half really. So really excited for that. And I thought really quickly that I would just talk about, because I read a lot of fantasy books, and most fantasy books come in the form of a series or a duology or trilogy, and I just made a compilation of like how many series I finished, how many series I continued, and how many series I started, and I actually completed 6 series. And that includes duologies. So I actually completed 6 series in 2025. I started 16. I started 16 series, and you know, a lot of those were the first books that just came out. They were just new books that came out, and I started a new series like Direbound or Silver Elite, and I can't continue them. So a lot of them are series that I'm caught up with and I just started because the books just came out, the first books of the series. So that I did start 16 new series that I do intend on finishing, and I continued on with 4 series. So those were series I started in 2024 or earlier, and I read on some of those series in 2025. So interesting little stats there. I've got a lot of catch up to do. I feel like the series stuff is overwhelming sometimes because it's hard to keep up with. Okay, so I have 16 series that I started, and I need to go through all of them and find out when the next books are coming out, what the next books are, can read before the books come out, you know, that kind of thing. So it just seems like overwhelming, but I need to get a compilation of all of my series that I'm in the middle of and start tracking them and trying to figure out when the next book's coming out so I can keep those on my radar.
Moving on to my top 5 of 2025, I was going to do this in order of which one I thought was my top book. Now, I definitely have a top book, but the other 4, I would say, doesn't matter. You know, it's in my top 5. I don't know if I could rank per se this one before this one. In my top 5, Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. I absolutely love this book. And when I was doing my Goodreads stats, I think that one was, of all the 117 books that I had, was the best reviewed book of all of them. And it makes sense because it was such a well-written, another tale of this world that the Hunger Games was in. And I read all those books years ago. I didn't reread them, and I felt like I slipped right back into that world, no trouble. I absolutely love it. I can't wait till the movie comes out. Definitely one of my top 5 for this year. Another one is Rebecca Ross is definitely one of my favorite authors now. Ever since I read Divine Rivals a couple years ago, I really, really loved that book. Those were YA, that and Ruthless Vows. She had an adult book out this year, and I was so excited once I found out it was going to be back in that world and kind of a prequel to those books. And Wild Reverence, so beautiful, so well written. Absolutely love this. Definitely in my top 5. Again, I would read anything she wrote as well. I had to include, even though it's not technically out until January 2026, I had to include Dear Debbie by Frida McFadden as one of my top 5. That one and The Intruder, me and Amanda had as digital arcs, and I loved both of them a lot. When I went to see which ones I really wanted to put in my top 5, I would say The Intruder would still be in my top 10. And there was something about Dear Debbie, especially the ending of that book, that just was on a different tier for me with Frida. I just loved it so much. I love her twists. I love how much she just does the psychological thriller at a whole other level for readers to enjoy. I cannot wait until there's another book she announces, and I'm getting nervous because even though she said, I think she has 7 books ready to come out because she works ahead, and nothing has been announced just yet, and I feel like something is probably going to come out either right before summer or during summer, but I think she's focusing right now on Dear Debbie, which comes out January, I think it's 27th, but if you love psychological thrillers and you have read Frida McFadden, you'll definitely love Dear Debbie. If you have not tried her yet, you feel like she might be overhyped or you don't get what it is, I still think you should keep an open mind and definitely try one of her books. I started with The Housemaid, and that one just pretty much sucked me in, and I wanted to keep reading after that. Me and Amanda absolutely adore her books, and she's also a great person as well. I'm in her Facebook Frida McFans group, and she interacts with the fans all the time in that group. She has such a great sense of humor, and definitely I had to put Frida in the top 5, but Dear Debbie was the one for me. Another one that stuck with me this year, and even though I realized I had rated it 4 stars, I feel like I need to re-rate it and put 5 stars because it's one of those books that as I was reviewing all the books I read this year, it definitely stuck with me as very original, very different, and the characters in that storyline just have stuck with me. And that one is by Sarah Pinborough. I have read her before, but this one's called We Live Here Now. It's a psychological thriller, and it's about a woman who ends up in this house. And I don't even know how to say it without ruining the story, because I feel like there's a twist in it that you end up, once you realize what it's about, it's just, I want to say like mind-bending, mind-blowing. It's just so different. And I love those kinds of books. I love genre-bending, things that really challenge how you're viewing a situation or the world. And this one did it for me, for sure. I absolutely love this book. I felt like I couldn't put it down, and I absolutely loved it. And I am kind of cheating for the last book, which is, I would say, my number 1 book from this year. And why I say it's cheating is I technically read this on Christmas Eve going into 2025. So it was just hours away from 2025 when I finished it. It technically, because it was an electronic ARC that I was reading, it technically came out in 2025. So I feel like I have to say it's in my top 5 because I love this book so much. But it's Karen Thompson Walker's The Strange Case of Jane O. I adore this book. I love her writing so much. One of my absolutely favorite books of all time is Age of Miracles. This one is such a strange, and I know it's in the title, but strange story of a woman that you don't really know what's going on. Definitely mixture of genres, and you're trying to figure out what is happening with this woman. You're giving clues along the way, but how this book wraps up just makes you think beyond the pages. It makes you come to some conclusions yourself. Sometimes that can be very frustrating when you're not given a definitive ending. I think it's up to interpretation a lot of times because people think that it's being told to you a certain way and it means this. Some people think it's, based to what you may think it is. I just absolutely love this book so much. It's just right up my alley. It's the type of book that I absolutely love. And even though I finished it like literally the night before 2025, I had to pick it because I just love it. And it did come out February 2025. It needs more hype. This book, definitely, if you haven't heard of it or haven't read it, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. 5 stars for sure. And can't say enough how much I love this book.
The last thing we want to talk about as far as 2025 goes is our top 5 books in 2025. And wow, this was kind of difficult. I had honestly 6 or 7 books that I wanted to put in the top 5, and these top 5 just squeezed them out, and it's in no particular order, but I have Dear Debbie by Frida McFadden. That book was so good. That's probably could be one of my favorite Frida McFadden books. I really liked the X. Like every time I compare a Frida McFadden book to one of her previous books, I think of The X. I just loved that book. And I know generally enjoyed Dear Debbie too. So I wouldn't be surprised if she has that in her top 5. But yeah, fantastic Frida book. The setting, the characters, the just quirkiness and the twist was so good. So I just really enjoyed that book. If you're looking to get into Frida McFadden, or if you already have read and love Frida McFadden, then I definitely think you need to look forward to Dear Debbie. It's coming out in January. One of the series that I completed in 2025 was the Nevernight Chronicles. I started and completed that series. I almost read those books back to back. I did read a few books in between that I needed to read for vlogs, but y'all know I'm a huge J. Kristoff fan, obviously. And I enjoyed those books. I don't like that trilogy as well as The Empire of the Vampire, but that's the top of my list. Like, that's a fantastic trilogy. I highly recommend it if you like grimdark fantasy. And that whole trilogy is in my top 5. And speaking of series in my top 5, I have another series that I started and finished and basically read the books back to back with some books in between for vlogs, and that's the Lady of Darkness series by Melissa K. Rorick. I don't even know how to explain it. That series was so good, and a lot of people that have read her book, she has another big series out that takes place in the same world but is not really connected to Lady of Darkness, and they said that that one's even better. So I'm really excited to get to reading that series of hers. But the Lady of Darkness was fantastic. It kind of reminded me on the same scale as ACOTAR was. It's just this whole world. There's all these books. Your heart breaks for these characters. There's love, lots of love, interest, and romance, but there's also very brutal and heartbreaking situations that these characters get put in and decisions they have to make. So I felt like that was a very, very great series, and that whole series also made my top 5. So I have 2 more books, and I'm gonna say number 2 was actually Onyx Storm, not number 1. I'm gonna say number 2, Onyx Storm. I love the Empyrean series. I just fell in love with Fourth Wing. I mentioned it earlier. It was 5 stars for me, and there's not been very many books since then that have given me that same 5-star feeling of just the book's perfect and you love the world and you love the characters. And Onyx Storm was great. I know that a lot of people have been pushing back and kind of not liking the rest of her series as much as Fourth Wing, the very first book, but I just love it. I love the series. I still love the world so much, and that was a 5-star book for me. My number 1 book is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gielig. That book surprised me. I thought I would like it, but I didn't expect to love that book so much. That's my number 1 book of 2025. I cannot wait for The Knave and the Moon to come out. I just loved everything about that book. The characters, the writing, the Rory, who is the MMC, is my second favorite MMC ever. I can't wait to get back into that world. It's kind of sad that it's only a duology, but I'm also very excited to have the story come to an end so I can get the ending. So that book, The Knave and the Moon, is coming out this year, and I cannot wait to get my hands on that book.
Opposite end, I'm not going to do 5. We didn't talk about doing 5 disappointing or books that we didn't like. We were going to mention one that either was very disappointing or like the worst book that you read this past year. I gave this one a lot of thought, and the most disappointing book from this year is where I want to go. I don't want to do worst because I don't feel like bashing a book. I don't think there is a book that I feel that strongly about this past year, not even the DNFs that I had, that I feel was that bad that I needed to bash it. But I would say in terms of disappointment, because of either high hopes or wanting something out of the book that I wasn't getting, unfortunately, was Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Came out in January of 2025. I loved Fourth Wing. I know there's some people out there that didn't even like that. And I know I don't read a lot of romantasy. Maybe it's because of that. But I absolutely adored that story. And it made me want to read so much the second one, Iron Flame. Now, Iron Flame, I feel I didn't like. It was really slow. And I thought maybe it's because sometimes the second one slows way down. There's a lot of world building and there's a lot of exposition that they need to talk about because it's supposed to be a 5-book series. So she was taking the time in that one to tell us more that we need in terms of details, but it just felt really slow to me. And I had a hard time finishing it. It took me forever to finish that one. And then I had high hopes because the third book in the series, I really loved when I was reading the Harry Potter books. I remember the first two were kind of slow for me and not that great, but then Prisoner of Azkaban was the one that like sucked me into that series. So I was thinking, okay, maybe the third one in this one, it's where it should, in theory, if it's 5 books, peak. And then, you know, after that, maybe all the action will be really fast. It'll take us to the ending. But did not happen for me. I struggled just as much as I did with Iron Flame. It was rough. If I didn't do audio as well, I don't know if I would have finished it because it was just that slow for me. And it made me realize, I think, that I'm just not much of a fantasy or romantasy reader. There are just some that just aren't going to do it for me. It's just not my genre to be passionate about. So it was very disappointing. I felt let down, and it's making me very much not want to do the rest of the series. I do want to know what happens with the characters. So I think I'm definitely going to do audio for the rest of them. I'm not going to be doing physical at all, no matter what sprayed edge is on it. I am just going to do audio, see what, and I know me and Amanda most likely will end up doing videos for the other two since we've done them for all 3. But if I had to pick the book that I was most disappointed in this past year, definitely Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Sorry.
All right, so looking at my notes here, I lied to you. There's actually 2 more things in 2025 that we want to discuss, and we wanted to talk about our most disappointing book of 2025. And like, I'm not here to bash a book. That's not what Jen and I are about on this channel. We're not gonna just, you know, bash a book or talk a lot about books that we hate or don't like. But my most disappointing read is What Fury Brings by Trisha Levenseller. I've read Trisha Levenseller in the past and loved her books. I had such high expectations for What Fury Brings, and I just couldn't read that book. I started it and I thought it was going to help me. I read a book before that one that wasn't good, and I thought, well, I need a good book, so I'm going to read this one. This one's going to be great. And it just was not. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the world. I didn't like what was going on. And I didn't like some of the, I don't know, it just felt like there was just this underlying problem with the book. I don't know what it is exactly. Can't put my finger on it. I'm just a reader. I'm just a reader expressing my opinions on books that I've read, and this one was the most disappointing for me. I didn't like it, and I'm not putting Trisha Levenseller down, or I'm not gonna not read her books anymore because I enjoyed a lot of her YA books that I did read so much, but I just was extremely disappointed with that one. I think that part of it could have been such high expectations, but part of it was I just did not enjoy the book. It just wasn't a book for me.
Last thing about 2025 that we're putting a wrap on, we had done a video right at the beginning of 2025 that was similar in tone to this one, our most anticipated for 2025. In that video, I went over, as usual, way too many, and we ended up, I think I did like 15 or 16 books. I am not going to go over all of those if I read them or not. I'm only going to do the 5 that we considered our top 5 we were most anticipating. And I'm going to go over those top 5. Did I read them or not? And yes, no, or maybe in terms of should you read it? Would I recommend it? So going in opposite order, I think we did like a countdown to our number 1 most anticipated. So at number 5, I had Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Yes, I did read it. Yes, I would recommend it. I did really enjoy it.
So my number 5 pick was Finlay Donovan Digs Her Own Grave by El Cosmano. I did read that book. I did love that book. I do, yes, recommend that series. It's so fun. It's just a fun, if I literally laugh out loud when I read those books.
My number 4 most anticipated was Spider to the Fly by J.H. Markert. Yes, I did read it. Yes, I would recommend it, especially for horror fans.
Number 4 is The Blackfire Blade by James Logan. That book just came out November, and I have not had a chance to read it yet. The publisher did send me an ARC, which I think I have somewhere around here. But they sent it to me right around release date, so I did not have time to read it before the release date. And with the end of the year just being so busy and crazy, I've not had time to get to it. So I did not read that one, unfortunately. But I do recommend The Silver Blood Promise, which is the first book of the series. The Blackfire Blade is the second book of the series. The Silver Blood Promise just blew my mind.
Number 3 was Onyx Storm. Obviously, yes, I read it. I would say no, not read it, but obviously everyone's going to make their own opinion, but for me it was a no.
My number 3 pick was also the sequel in a series, The Strength of the Few by James Islington, and this is the sequel to The Will of the Many, and it also came out late in the year. I think it came out, let me look. Can't remember exactly when it came out. I think it came out also in November or October. I think it was also a book that had an initially earlier release date and then it was delayed, but I have not got around to reading that yet. It is actually on my January TBR, so I do want to read it in the month of January, but I have not got to it yet. I do recommend The Will of the Many.
Number 2 most anticipated was Things Gods Break by Abigail Owen, which was the follow-up to Games Gods Play. And yes, I did read it. Yes, absolutely, I would recommend it. It almost made my top 5. I had a hard time picking my top 5, imagine that. And it definitely is in my top 10.
My second most anticipated for 2025 was Onyx Storm. Yes, I read it. Obviously, we did a vlog on it. We vlogged all of the Empyrean series books. And yes, I do recommend it. I know Jen didn't feel the same about the book, and I understand. I do understand some people, you know, kind of pulling away from the series, but I still love the book. The books still have me hooked, and I still am dying to read more and get more into this world. So I did read it, and I do recommend it.
Ironically, my number 1 most anticipated book for the year was one that was supposed to come out in October. It is now pushed to February of 2026. But I did get a physical ARC of it, and it's Nowhere Burning by Catriona Ward. I just finished it recently, and yes, I would recommend it. I might have more thoughts on that in my Q4 wrap-up that we're doing. I haven't decided yet to do an ARC review for that one, and there are reasons, but I'm not going to get into it here, but I would still say yes.
And my number 1 most anticipated book for 2025 was this beauty right here, Empire of the Dawn. And I have started reading this but have not finished it. This is the 3rd book and final book of the Empire of the Vampire trilogy. I talk about this book all of the time. You guys, y'all know. If you've been on my channel before, you've probably heard me talking about Empire of the Vampire, Empire of the Damned, and Empire of the Dawn. And this book, it's just taken me so long to read because, one, it is like 900 pages. Let me just tell you. Let's see. It is 766 pages, so not quite 900. It feels like 900. It's a long book, and I don't care. I love big books. I'm loving this world. It's just, it takes me a lot of time to read these books, and this is not a book that you can just sit on your couch and read while someone else is watching TV and you're half distracted. I need my full attention focused on this book, so it gives me, it takes me a long time. It takes me a long time to read it because I don't have a lot of time where I can sit and just focus completely all my attention on reading. So it is taking me a little bit. I'm also going slow with reading the book. I also, y'all, stop and stare. Like, look at these pictures. There's pictures like this throughout all of these books, and I know I've told you all before, but when I'm reading and I get to these pictures, I just have to stop and enjoy the pictures as much as I can because I love the pictures in this book a lot.
So moving on to 2026, first I want to go over some reading goals, some personal reading goals for myself And Amanda and I still need to discuss some fiction addictions reading goals for this year, or should I say video goals for this year. We are changing up some of the things that we're doing to try and make it, I think, easier for the two of us, especially easier for Amanda because of the editing portion of it, and so much in our lives takes away from putting as much energy as we want to put into this, because we both love doing this, but it also takes a lot of time and effort. It's not our main job for either of us. We both have other things that we are focused on in our lives, so it can be hard to keep up with editing portion and sometimes the reading portion. I would say it can be hard to record and get things together, but we love doing this. We love talking about books and sharing books. So obviously we still want to keep doing it. My personal reading goals that I want to do this year is very similar to what Amanda has talked to me about. And it's reading down some of the books that we talk about that we have not gotten to. Things keep coming. We love ARCs. We're going to continue to read ARCs. There's no way out of that. It's not something we're going to stop doing because we love it so much. But it's, I guess, a balance of reading some ARCs and then also making sure that we give the time to the books that we didn't get to in time. So either we have an ARC of it, or it's even physically on our shelves, which are all the ones staring at me from behind. And there's so many books in the past that I still want to read, and I don't want to think I'm never going to get to them just because there's so many new books coming out. So it's one of those reader problems where you're balancing what you have on your TBR and the constant new books. They're grabbing your attention. There's so many memes about that, but the struggle is real. It is a real challenge that I am constantly trying to balance. So one of the things that I have done that I think will help this, so we both have TBR jars. What we had put in our TBR jars were the books that we went over in our most anticipated videos. I would say of all our videos that get views, those are the most popular, and it's books that we do in a 2-month snapshot of all the ones that we're most anticipating. And the ones from that video we put into a TBR jar, and we have been picking out of that jar to read those books so we have a chance to read them. It kind of forces us to read those books. And we had been doing videos on them, but Amanda had the idea of, instead of doing a whole vlog, and it takes more time to edit, that when we do read those books that we pick out of here, and we pick those out of our monthly TBR videos that we post, we're going to do a short on it. So for about 3 minutes, we'll just give our short thoughts on it. We picked it from the TBR video. This is what my thoughts are. Instead of vlogging, over the course of us reading it, we are just going to do a snippet for each one. I also added to my TBR jar. So the other things I added in here, those TBR videos that I just mentioned that we do on a monthly basis, there's also books that I talk about in those that I don't always get to. So instead of those going, and those aren't always ARCs or coming out, those are just books that have caught my interest that I really want to read, but life happens, things happen, and it gets pushed off to the side. So I went back through every single one of our TBR videos for the past 2.5 years, and the books that I never got to, I put in the TBR jar. So now I feel so much better because I feel like there's a chance I might get to it, and that made me feel better. I also put physical books that I have behind me that have been sitting and waiting for their time. I also put those in here. This genuinely is a TBR jar because it's expansive over everything that I am trying to read. It is going to make it seem, I think, a lot easier for me to get to books anyway, and I can keep adding to it as well. So this jar is now something I feel like I've organized better into 2026, and it already mentally has made me feel better for my reading goals for this year. Another goal, which is kind of in the same vein, The past couple years, I have tried to really get to some of the classics and not just keep paying attention to newer books. So things like Frankenstein's Mary Shelley, which I did put in that jar because I had it on one of my TBRs in the past year or two. And I keep pushing it off because there's so many other things to read. So Martian Chronicles was another one that I wanted to read recently. There's some Stephen King that I really wanted to get to. I am currently reading, and I'm hoping to get through it because I keep ending up reading other things. But A Wrinkle in Time is one I never read when I was younger, and it's part of a plot point in the new Stranger Things season. So it made me really want to read it. So I picked it up, I bought it, and started reading it. And it feels good to get to some of those classics that I never had a chance to get to. I did get to Kill a Mockingbird this past year, or was it last year? All the years are running together, but I did get to Kill a Mockingbird, which felt good. And I also did A Lion, a Witch, and the Wardrobe. Like, there are things that getting to and balancing what I want to read just makes me feel so much better about my reading habits and what I intend on doing. The reading goal for 2026 in terms of a number, and again, I hate putting a number on it. I try not to pick a number that's going to stress me out because I hate when you make a goal, and I just really want to read good books. I don't want to think of it as a number, and it turns into a number when you put a number on it. But I did already put it on Goodreads. I just hurried up and put something in there because I knew I would keep thinking about it. And I put 100. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to get to 100. I have a little bit of anxiety about it just because I am probably not going to be doing short stories this year because the ones that I read this past year, I don't think I'm a short story reader. I always end up feeling that it's too short, there's something missing, and it doesn't give me any satisfaction when I get to the end of it. So, and then I also feel weird that it's part of my number because even though it was a quote unquote book that I read, it was like, 4 chapters or whatever short it is. And it doesn't make me feel like I have that full number that I have on Goodreads. So I don't know if 100 is realistic if I'm not doing short stories in there, but I am going to give it my all. And if I don't make it, I don't make it. As long as I have read a lot of great books, I'm just going to try and let that number go. The last goal I have for myself as a reader is, and I think I did pretty good with this year. I don't feel like I'm bad necessarily at it, but I can be, which is to DNF better. And I feel like me and Amanda have said this as a goal in prior years, but I feel like I was pretty good at DNFing some things. It's one of those things that you could get back into a bad habit. And there just have been books that I've stuck with, and I was glad I stuck with it. And those are the ones that I remember when I go to DNF a book and I think, oh, but what if it gets better? But there are a couple books this past year, I stuck it out and I regretted that decision. It was not worth finishing. And I thought I could have been reading something else, and I ended up reading this book that, was not good. So I'm hoping to be even better at DNFing, even if I feel I'm not horrible at it.
So now it's time to move on to 2026. And how I feel about 2026 is exactly my shirt. Jen got me this for my birthday and I love it. It's too many books, too few centuries. And that is a quote from the Nevernight Chronicles by J. Kristoff. And that's how I feel. I have so many books. I have too many books. I have too many books on my physical TBR. I have too many books on my Kobo that I have downloaded from Edelweiss and NetGalley. I have too many books. And this right here. And this right here, which is my most anticipated TBR jar. So when we talk about most anticipated reads, we put them in jars and we draw from them every now and then to read. And I have too many books in there. So just all in all, too many books, too few centuries to read them in. But that is my big goal for 2026 is I'm focusing on my physical TBR because I'm not really on a book buying ban, but I do feel guilty buying more and more books when I have so many that I haven't read, and also running out of space. I need to read these books so I know if I want to keep them or not. So I am going to focus a lot on my physical TBR, also the Edelweiss ebooks and ARCs. I really want to read at least 2 of my ebooks or ARCs or my Edelweiss books that I've downloaded per month, because I have several. I have a lot that I need to read. I have a lot of exciting ARCs for 2026 on there that I want to read and review for y'all in our ARC review videos. So that's my main focus and my main goal of 2026 as far as reading goes, is just reading down the books that I already have. And of course, that is, I'm still gonna want to run out and buy those new releases. And when I'm in the middle of a series and a book's release that I want to continue, I have to go out and buy that and read that, of course, as well. But just a lot of backlog, a lot of physical books, a lot of books I already own that I need to get through, and it's weighing me down. I need to do it to kind of lighten my load a little bit, and so that I feel like I'm more caught up and can focus more on upcoming books coming out. Okay, another little sub goal that I have that's going to help me with my physical TBR is I want to focus on reading 500 pages, physical pages per week. And I think that that's very challenging. It does include ebooks, so I'm going to read ebooks, but the ebook pages don't exactly convert to physical pages. So where I can find the conversion, I will definitely convert them. But it also includes ebook pages because I like to read my ebook. It's very convenient for me to take with me on the go, very convenient to read while you're laying in bed. It's much easier to read than a physical book when you're busy or you're just reading here and there while you can, stealing a few minutes. So it's more convenient reading. I prefer the physical book. I like holding a physical book and reading it. So that's sort of why I'm also including the ebook pages, because it's just convenient for me. But I do want to try to do at least 500 pages a week, and I figure that's at least about a book a week, and that will help me towards my goal of my Goodreads goal, which, by the way, is my next goal I want to talk about. My Goodreads goal, again, is 100 books a year. I've had that goal for the last 2 years, and 3 years ago, I read 111 books. That's the most I've ever read in a year. And then the past 2 years, 2024 and 2025, I read 102 books in each of those. So 100 is very obtainable, but also could be a stretch for me. I'm hoping in this year I won't have a lot of the distractions and the book slump that I had bringing me down in 2025. So I'm hoping to read more than that, but I want to keep it at 100 because I don't want to put too much pressure on myself. If I set my goal at like 120, that's just going to stress me out. And it's possible I might get that, but I feel like 100 is a very good, reasonable, but also challenging goal at the same time for me. All right, 2 other smaller goals that I have, personal goals for 2026. And one is the way that we are doing our tbrjar. I know that Jen's going to talk about this as well, but we've decided we want to do more short form content on our channel. We also need to sort of lighten the load a little bit for me as far as the editing and stuff goes, because I edit all the videos. The vlogs take anywhere from probably 10 to 12 hours to edit, depending on how complicated the vlogs are. I'm talking about the full like 45-minute to hour-long vlogs. Those take a really long time, and we do like to do those. That's our favorite thing to do. So it just takes a long time, though. It could take me days to edit all of that when I have the time to get it together. So instead of doing the full vlogs on these, we're going to do short form content, and Jen and I are going to pop in and read the books whenever we like. We are going to still pull these for our TBR videos, so you will see what books we plan on reading and what shorts might be coming out. But also, if we read that and we decide we want to do another one, we're just going to surprise y'all with some more shorts and some more of these books from our most anticipated TBR jars. And finally, personally for me, the last reading goal that I have for 2026 is I want to get my library established in my house. Y'all know I moved. I do have a room designated as my library/office, and I need to get it set up. Right now, it's still full of boxes that we need to unpack. The unpacking and getting the house together has been going very slow, and there's a lot of reasons for that I'm not going to get into. but it has been moving slower than I would like for us. And I still have stuff in there it's just being used as storage room right now. And I want to get that completely unpacked, obviously, but I also want to get bookshelves put up. I need to get a desk in there so I can put my computer on it. I need to get a nice comfy reading chair and just get it real cozy and in a good space so that I can just have my library. I can see all my books. I need to catalog the books that I have. I need to organize them and all of that. So that's another big goal for me in 2026 to get done. And hopefully if I have a whole year, I'll be able to do it, because I really am anxious to get my library set up. It's just, when I look at whole house priorities, that room is not as much of a priority as, say, like our living room or our kitchen or other areas of the house that I have to share with my family. So it's just, it's a priority for me, but when I look at the priorities of the house as a whole, the library is not as big of a priority. So I am really, really, really going to be disappointed if I don't get that done. So should be done this year, and super excited to share that with y'all in some of our upcoming vlogs.
And lastly, for this video, we are going to go over our most anticipated, the top 5 most anticipated for 2026. And I often struggle with these kinds of lists because there's so much I want to talk about and so much that I want to put on this list, and it's hard for me to choose. But I have whittled it down to the top 5 that I feel are truly my top 5 most anticipated for 2026. With the caveat that these are the ones that are announced, because obviously if Sophie Cousins announces a book, it would be in the top 5. If Frida McFadden announced a new one, it would be in the top 5. Jason Rekulek, who wrote Hidden Pictures, just announced he has turned in a book, but I don't know when that's going to be published. It could be in 2027 for all we know, depending on the editing process. So I don't know, when I would be able to read that. If Anthony Doerr releases a new one, which I doubt, he takes a long time researching his books. I don't even know if he is currently writing one, but he wrote such a favorite book of mine, Cloud Cuckoo Land. But if he released a book, it would definitely be in my top 5. I'm not going to go on and on. I can list so many authors that if they release and say they're doing a book, it would probably be in my top 5. So I'm going to shut up and talk about my top 5. And I will do a countdown backwards and do 5 to 1. So number 5, and I plan on reading it shortly because it's coming out January 13th. That's probably why it's number 5. It's called Detour, and it's by Jeff Rake. He was one of the creators of Manifest. It's a TV show that I was obsessed with, and I love it so much. It's one of those mind-bending, multiple genre type TV shows, and this book sounds about the same. The other author is Rob Hart, so it's a dual author situation that it's about a space crew that ends up, I believe, going to a moon of Jupiter's, which I don't know if they're going to explain the science of that because that doesn't sound, obviously possible. I don't know how far into the future this book is going to be, but when they come back to Earth, things are different. Very similar premise to Manifest. That one is about a commercial plane that runs into a storm and some turbulence, and when they land, they realize they have been missing for 5 years. It was like a time loop. So everything is different when they get back. I don't know if that's how similar it's gonna be for Detour, but I am very, very interested in this book. And once I read about it, I wanted to read it immediately. I do have the electronic ARC, but it comes out within a couple weeks. So I'll be reading it as soon as it comes out.
Hey y'all, Editing Amanda here, and y'all know when Editing Amanda shows up, then past Amanda has probably messed something up, and you'd be right this time. Like every time. I don't know what happened, y'all. I don't know if I thought I was filming and it wasn't filming, or if during the process of downloading and uploading my videos for editing, I don't know if I'd accidentally deleted a segment or not, but I have lost the footage of me giving you guys my number 5 and number 4 most anticipated release. So Editing Amanda has jumping in to save the day. And number 5 is Moonfall by Ed Crocker. I loved this series. The first book in the series, Lightfall, just kind of blew my mind a little bit. I enjoyed that book so much. I am highly anticipating the sequel, which is Moonfall, and it is coming out in June. I requested an ARC on Edelweiss and I initially was denied, but I also requested the ARC on NetGalley and I was approved on NetGalley. So I did get my hands on an ARC of that book and I can't wait to read it. I want to read it sooner than June. I mean, I always have the best of intentions, okay? And it seems like, yeah, no problem that you have like 5 months. You should be able to read it and film an ARC review. But, you know, sometimes things happen and my plans don't go to plan. My plans aren't planning. But yeah, I will probably read that book before June because I'm so excited about it.
Number 4 is The Exit Party by Emily St. John Mandel. She has written a few other books that I loved. The one that was made into a TV show is called Station 11. There was another one that I'm forgetting at the minute, but I'll put it on the screen that she wrote that I really enjoy. I love her writing. It reminded me a lot of Cloud Cuckoo Land in terms of how she writes her fiction. And when I found out that she was releasing a book this year, I got very, very excited about it and I can't wait to read it. It comes out September 26th as of now. And I should say that some of these dates could change, just like when I was going over our top 5 for 2025. The Catriona Award one did get pushed into 2026. So when it's towards the end of the year, there's always a chance that it's going to get pushed. But as of right now, it's in September and I can't wait.
Number 4, top 5 most anticipated on my list for 2026 is One Shattered Crown by Rebecca Zanetti. I've talked about this series a lot. This is the 3rd book in a series. They're interconnected standalones, but they do go in order. So I would recommend reading them in order. The first book is One Dark Rose. The second book is the first book is One Cursed Rose. And the second book is One Dark Kiss. And this 3rd book coming out in July is One Shattered Crown. And they're just so good. They're so fun. The fantasy, it's like an urban fantasy, romantasy type vibe. The fantasy aspects, the magic aspects are really cool and like nothing I've read before. The males are very territorial, touch her and you die type of males, strong males. The females are very strong characters as well. There are 4 mafia families that run tech companies and the females are very much in control of those companies, whether the males realize that or not. And I think they're such a great fun time. I love, that's one of my favorite romantasy series. And I can't say enough about them if you like fun romantasy. And I'm highly anticipating the 3rd book coming out in July.
At number 3 is The Wrath Gods Reap. It's the 3rd book in, I want to say it's going to be a trilogy by Abigail Owen. The first one was Games Gods Play, and the second one was Things Gods Break. But this one will be the 3rd one. It's pretty much a Hades myth retelling because it's not Persephone per se with Hades. There's a new heroine who I absolutely love, and I'm forgetting her name at the minute, but Persephone is in it as well. And there have been some cliffhangers from the first 2 books that are absolutely like, you just want the next book now. And that's how the first 2 ended, and now we're going to get the 3rd one. I can't wait. As of right now, we have to wait all the way to November 17th, and really hoping that doesn't get pushed, but I can't wait.
All right, coming in at number 3 is Dig by J.H. Markert. I love J.H. Markert. You guys know that I love his horror books. They are so good. My favorite horror author, definitely, like without a doubt, my favorite horror author at the moment. I have just devoured all of his books. Jen got me an autographed book of his, so I'm so grateful for that. And Dig is coming out. I do have an ARC So I hope to read it. Dig is coming out, sorry, I haven't told you, March 24th. So I need to get on it and read this arc because I'm dying. I'm dying to get to this. And I really want to do an arc review for this book before it comes out because I just think I'm going to love it and have a lot to say.
Right, the final two, and both of them I really feel like I'm anticipating probably the same level. But first I'll do number 2, The Caretaker by Marcus Clower. I read his book this past year that was called We Used to Live Here, and it's like a horror / psychological thriller, very tense, and you don't know what to make of the story because it's kind of disjointed on purpose to mess with your perception of it, I guess is the only way to say it. I don't know if I'm saying that well, but I really love that book. It was getting a lot of hype and selling out in stores, and I grabbed a copy when I saw it. I really, really enjoyed it and definitely want to read the new one. So The Caretaker, I'm not completely sure what it's about. I remember it being something about this woman takes a job. I remember thinking like, oh, it kind of sounds like The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, where this person is taking a job and it's about a really sketch situation that she's getting into. So it's about the gist of what I know about it, but he's one of those that after I read We Used to Live Here, I'm going to sign up and read the next book that he writes because I don't even know if I care what it's about. I'm just going to read it.
My number 2 book coming out is another Finlay Donovan book. It's Finlay Donovan Crosses the Line by El Cosmano. This is the 5th book, I believe, in the series, and I think there is a novella, so it could be 5. There could be 5.5 total in the series. This series is just, like I mentioned earlier, my fun, favorite good time books. They are really great to read between like some deeper or darker books that you read. They're just a really good time. They make me laugh out loud, and not a lot of books can do that. So not a lot of books actually evoke physical reactions for me. I don't really cry in books. I don't really laugh out loud. I mean, I might make a, or something sometimes if there's something crazy, but if a book makes me like physically react, it's got to be a good book. So this book does make me laugh out loud, and just totally love this series and these characters. And they're just, if you're looking for like just a fun, good, silly, good time book, then I definitely recommend this series.
The last one, I actually don't even know what it's about. Speaking of, it's by Sarah Pinborough, who was the one who wrote We Live Here Now, which was one of my top 5 from 2025. So of course I'm going to want to read the new one by her. By the way, I don't think I said that The Caretaker comes out April 21st. I forgot to say that, which means I don't have that long of a wait. But I don't have any arc for that. I want an arc so bad. I have signed up for like Goodreads ones, and I need to get my hands on that book. But April's not that far away, so it's not like I'm waiting that long. Anyway, back to Sarah Pinborough. And the title of that one is called They Say a Girl Died Here. And obviously, I don't have an arc for this either, but I am really looking forward to it. It's supposed to come out August 25th. And again, I hope it doesn't, because it's in that like later half of the year. It's very possible it'll get pushed. I really hope not. But yeah, those are my top 5 that I'm really anticipating for 2026. And I'm also really anticipating more announcements from some of my favorite authors, just because I can't wait to see what else there is to read in 2026.
Finally, my number one pick, and is probably a surprise to no one, is The Knave and the Moon by Rachel Gillig. It's coming out on September 1st. I am counting down the days. I am hopefully can get an arc. I was able to find an e-arc of The Night and the Moth, so I'm hoping to be able to also like somehow get lucky enough to get an e-arc of The Knave and the Moon. I have it on my radar. I am checking for it constantly. I'm looking at all the usual places where I can try to get arcs to try to get it, because I just can't wait to finish that book. And The Night and the Moth finished on such a twist, such a cliffhanger. I'm just really anxious to see where it goes from there. And it is just going to be a duology, I believe. It's just going to be a duology. So we are going to, The Knave and the Moon is going to be the ending, I believe. So we will have to wait and see. If there is a third book coming out, I'm going to be shocked, but I cannot wait. I loved the characters. I loved Roy. I loved the gargoyle in the book. They're so fun. The characters are great. There's a good balance in that book. It had, you know, sort of the gothic vibes. I really actually need to read the One Dark Window duology. I can't remember the actual name of that duology. I haven't read it yet. The Night and the Moth is the only Rachel Gillig book that I've read, but I loved it so much. It's literally a crime that I haven't read her other books, because I'm so highly anticipating The Knave and the Moon, and hopefully it will stand up to my expectations, because I'm really hyped about that book.
I look forward to seeing what Amanda has picked for her top 5 and what she is most anticipating for 2026. And I can't wait for you guys to let us know, what do you agree with? What have we not talked about that you think that we either should have included in a top 5, either for this past year or for what we're most anticipating? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks guys for watching, and until next time.